Welcome to Brotherly Discourse.
Where you don't have to agree, just join the conversation. With me, Oliver, and my brother,
Simon.
Today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about a whole mix of things. Do you kind of want to get them ready for them?
Yeah, well, I mean, we can kind of talk about what we've been up to first, if you kind of want to talk about that here for a minute or two.
Yeah, so as you guys would know, we haven't posted an episode in 2 weeks. We've been really busy with school, for me anyway, work for the both of us. Jana, our camera woman, has been really busy with school as well. So we just took a week off, or 2 weeks off, to kind of handle some of that. So
yeah, and we've kind of tried to implement some shorts on the Instagram and YouTube and all that. So we'll keep trying to do that and still get these weekly full-length episodes out for you.
yeah,
So anyway, today we'll be talking kind of about AI and how that's changing the workforce as we've seen here the past week, 2 weeks. We did a short on it, but here we're going to talk about it more in depth because I think it's something that's really important, something that's going to affect a lot of people our age. So, AI is here. Companies are shifting, workers are paying for it, and trades and financial literacy are really going to matter for everyone, but specifically Gen Z.
yeah.
So if you kind of want to get into the stats of what we've seen the past week here, 2 weeks of the layoffs.
Yeah, so there have been a lot of layoffs going on. Amazon has laid off 14,000 at the corporate level.
At the time of this recording.
At the time of this recording, it could be higher by the time we post. Microsoft has been around 9,000, and then this is in other areas too, like Intel, and the Salesforce. So total, what we have so far of 2025 tech layoffs have been 112,732 roughly, and that's across 218 companies. So that's
over half of that's just been here in the past couple months.
Yeah.
So, what's the reason for it? We're starting to see a wide adoption of AI, and there have been some weaker earnings here as we saw the Q3 results and all that for these companies, and they're making less money. They're switching to AI, and then we're kind of seeing it in the stock market here, with the tech stocks really selling off. So yeah, I mean, we have some questions here if you wanna. That way we can talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I can start with a quick question here, which it kind of gets back to the beginning of AI, and that's, when did you personally first realize that AI wasn't just like a buzzword from movies and stuff like that, but it would like actually change the world that we're living in?
That's a tough one because I feel like everybody said it for a little while, but it never really started to come to fruition, and maybe it wasn't really at that point yet to where it was capable of really doing the things that it can do now. I mean, I still remember when we were in high school and GPT really started to take off and everybody started using that. I got caught using it on a chemistry test one time, I think. So, but yeah, so I remember that, and just the things it could do, I was like, this really is going to be something.
Well, I mean, and that even just goes to show that you, as a high schooler, saw how it could make things way more efficient.
Yeah.
Like, it saved you, I don't know, 2 days writing a chemistry paper. So, I mean, everybody wants to use it because it makes their life easier. And also, like, these businesses, it's cheaper. You just have an algorithm running everything instead of people that you have to pay for. Like, not just paychecks, but, insurance and all the benefits, too. So,
yeah, and I mean, as it gets smarter and smarter, you're just going to see it start to take over more and more of those jobs that low-skilled employees could be doing.
yeah.
So, and that's just going to be how it is. So, like, here, the question, do you think this is just cost-cutting, or is this genuinely going to be a new phase of our economy? because you saw it with a lot of things. It kind of
Yeah.
grew into a big bubble, and then we really see the economy take a hit. But
Yeah, I mean, I think a big part of it right now is cost cutting because I think they're still making the infrastructure for how it's going to completely change all these different sectors, if that makes any sense. So, I mean, a lot of these layoffs right now are probably, they're noticing how much they can cut in costs by having AI do more of these, like for low skilled workers probably, whether that be like data analysis. What I shouldn't say low skill, but something that a computer can do: data analysis, data input, all that kind of stuff. But I think in the long run, it can definitely be used right. But are we going to see that? I don't know. It's tough to know. And I mean, these AIs keep training new AIs. They're using the old ones to train the new ones, and it's just getting more and more advanced. It's kind of crazy, even from when we first saw like the AI stuff of like the Will Smith eating spaghetti. Do you remember that? And maybe you guys remember that too. And like you could barely even tell what it was. And now these AI image generators, video generators, I see ads for it all the time.
It's really real.
Yeah, you can barely tell. I mean, you can tell a lot of the times just because I make it do such insane stuff. But if it's something that's actually believable, you won't even know, which is kind of scary. But
yeah, and like, I mean, long story short, I think, kind of to bring it back to the question, my opinion on it, it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. So I guess then that just leads me to ask, what sectors do you think are going to be hit next? Because we see it a lot here at the tech when it comes to like basic data analysis and stuff like that. Where do you see it going next?
That's a good question, and I'm not 100% sure because that's like the easy answer. It'd be like tech, and then like you said, data analysis, data input, all that kind of stuff. I don't ever see it hitting job sectors like, for me, like education. You can't have. I mean, you could, but people would never allow that. Like an AI to be teaching their children.
Never say never.
Yeah, honestly, I guess you don't know, but with the way it stands right now, I don't see that changing for a long, long, long time. For something like you being in the trades, I think there's definitely places that it could impact, like in construction, for example, where it might limit the physical, like the people aspect of it to like administrators almost, like overseeing it. I saw a video of the vice president talking about that actually. I don't know how it would work, but I don't know. They're looking at all these ways to cut people, which is unfortunate, but I guess it saves costs, and I see why they're doing it.
Yeah, and here soon we'll be talking about the human cost of it, but yeah, I mean, I think the thing that it's really going to take over is the jobs that everybody for the past 10 years has been told to go into.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's coding or I'm not in that field, so I don't really know what all that stuff is, but I know that a computer can do it, and we're going to see that start to happen.
I mean, you already see it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, there really isn't a limit to what it can do. So I don't think it's going to be taking jobs like my job anytime soon, if ever. But yeah, so do you think these layoffs are a warning or a full shift into how corporations are going to start to operate?
Well, if you mean like, do I think these jobs are going to come back? Probably not. Like,
at least not in the way that they are right now.
Yeah, and I mean, you could look at this in a negative way. And I'm not saying I'm on either side. I'm just playing devil's advocate for both. You could look at it as bad because these people are losing their jobs. Or you could look at it as a positive, like some people are, where it's pushing people to become more educated in other aspects so that you can be on like a different level than the AI, or doing stuff that the AI can't do as well. Whether that be like dealing with people, like things like, I don't know, HR, you couldn't really have a robot do that, or AI, I guess. But yeah, I mean, even some of these other physical jobs where you have people doing it, I mean, you could hypothetically have an AI do it if you were able to build like a, like a robot pretty much and have the AI in it. I don't know how close we are to that. Hopefully, I don't know. I don't know. But I don't know if it's a complete shift. Like I said earlier, I think it might just be a short term cost cutting measure that they're going to refine over time as they build the infrastructure for it. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah, so we'll transition it now to the human cost of it and just the impact we're going to see of it. So, I mean, what we have here, Gen Z is going to be hit the hardest.
Yeah.
Entry level jobs are disappearing, and just the instability that was already there is rising. But trades are gaining value.
Yeah.
So we'll move to the questions here. I've been asking a lot of questions.
Yeah, I mean, do you think Gen Z, and maybe you kind of already talked about this, but do you think Gen Z was lied to about what careers would be safe?
I don't think they were lied to. I think nobody, well, not nobody, but the people that were telling them weren't informed on what was going to come to be, or they couldn't see, what was going to happen in the next 10, 15 years. And we don't know what's going to happen in 10 or 15 years from now, but I know for sure it's not going to be something like data analysis or something that a basic AI could accomplish. So I don't think they were lied to, but I just don't think anybody really knew the scale that it was going to be.
Yeah. But I mean, you even say entry level jobs disappearing. You walk into a McDonald's and there aren't cashiers anymore. Or even a retail store and it's all self checkout. Like, those are simple jobs that a high schooler can be doing that are going to disappear. Because why would you pay a high schooler even $15 an hour to scan, groceries when you can, just pay the initial upfront cost of getting a self checkout lane? And I mean, that there might be some extra theft in there, me knowing that from my part-time job now, but I don't think it would take away from the what you're saving by not paying somebody to do it. So yeah, you definitely see those even simple things like that you might not think about disappearing, and that's definitely not good for young people, because I think those are important jobs for somebody to have, so that they learn people skills, they learn simple stuff like that, customer service even.
Well, that kind of leads to the question of like, how are people going to get any entry level position if there is no entry level position,
or if they don't have some kind of skill?
Yeah. I mean, I see a lot of these people demand that they be able to get jobs or whatever, but they don't bring anything to the table. Sure, you went and got a college degree, but that's not going to mean anything to an employer if you can't do the job. So, I mean, it's a little different for you since, being education, that's different. You can't really work in it before you have a degree.
Yeah.
But, so your part-time job isn't related.
Yeah.
But for people that are, I can't even think of a really good example. I mean, stuff in the medical field, right? I mean, it's probably hard for people to get in. I mean, maybe not there because I think there's a high demand, but just as an example, it's going to be hard for people to kind of get into those entry-level positions and get that stuff on their resume that an employer would see and be like, okay, yeah, I actually want to hire this person.
Yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. Kind of going along with that, why do you think that some of these white-collar jobs maybe have turned out to be more fragile than people maybe expected when they talked about this? Because I think, in my opinion, before I turn it over to you, a lot of these people thought that I don't know, I mean, I probably even thought it too, but they thought that they would be in control of the AI, if that makes sense. Everybody thought that they would be above it, but I think, and like, that they could, choose what people were using it for, but I don't think anybody took into consideration these big corporations, funding the research for it, getting their own AIs to do all this stuff for them. So
yeah, and I think people didn't really see them as fragile because that's kind of been the key to success the past 60, 70 years. But yeah, that's kind of what everybody saw that as, like, you had it made if you were working that white collar job. But now, we're going to see a shift, I think, to where the people that are really going to be successful and really not hit a ceiling are going to be people that are blue collar instead of white collar.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What else do we have here? Do you think, are we going to see an end to the degree equals success mindset? Because now, with a lot of those entry level positions disappearing and the degree not even helping people get jobs anyway, maybe it's time we start to have that conversation that maybe what people were told for the past 30 years is a lie.
Yeah, I think people already know. I think it's very common knowledge that having a degree doesn't mean you're successful, but it's still almost the stigma. Like, everybody, like, at least a lot of people my age that I've talked to know that a degree isn't going to change a lot. It depends on the job, obviously, but it's like you get to the junior, senior year of high school and they're like, what college are you going to? What college are you going to? It's just like a really, I don't know, it's just a cultural thing almost. And I think a lot of people know that you don't need a college degree, but it's still like the stigma of it, maybe. So I don't think that it's that people don't like know that the mindset of like degree equals success. Like, I think everybody knows that that's not necessarily the case, but people, I don't know, are still just kind of it's I think it's all because of the stigma.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that because there's not, compared to what most people go to school for, I'd say probably 70-80% of that you could do without that degree. And I feel like people know that, but like you said, it's just such a socially, like, that's just what you're supposed to do, is you just go to school, you have that college experience,
Yeah.
and all that. But I'd like to kind of talk about something related but different. You see it a lot on social media, like Gen Z specifically, like they really want to break away from the traditional work environment and like break away from that 9 to 5. To me, 9 to 5 sounds nice, but they don't really want anybody to be in charge of them and all that. So do you see, kind of this shift in the workforce being a way that Gen Z can finally break away from that traditional corporate path?
Can you ask the question again? Sorry.
Do you think that this is going to be an opportunity for Gen Z to finally break away from that corporate path that so many have thought that is the path to success?
Yeah, I think it's probably, but not because I think they're gonna break away from it, but not for the reason that they want to, but it's gonna be out of necessity because there just won't be those jobs anymore. And everybody wants to be an influencer. Everybody wants to be their own boss, but like that's not realistic. But Gen Z is definitely going to need to figure out their own. Like, they're going to have to find their path, and some of those will be more traditional. Like what you're doing, like trades. By traditional, I mean like that. And some are going to change the way that we see some jobs, and that's just a part of life. I mean, new generations figure out new things and new paths and new jobs, and just out of survival, really.
Yeah, that's fair. So one more question in this kind of topic before we move to the next. What do you think is the biggest misconception young people and Gen Z to have about the job market today? Biggest misconception.
I think a lot of people probably think it's super easy to get a job until they're actually in the job, like looking for a job. Because, I mean, I don't know what the percentages would be, but a lot of people probably don't look for a serious job until they graduate college, at least college graduates, and then realize that it's actually competitive. Like, you don't just, oh, I have this degree, now I'm going to get this job. Like, that's not really how it works. And this is probably also going to be changing because of AI and stuff. But yeah, I would say probably that. They probably, I mean, I don't know what people think, but that would be my assumption, just based off of talking to people at school. What I hear, everybody's like, yeah, I'm spending all this money for a degree, but it's gonna be fine because I'm gonna get a job that pays this and this and this, and like they just think that it's an immediate success, but that's not really how it works.
Yeah, and see, I don't disagree with what you said, but I think the biggest misconception is what people are gonna earn when they first get into the job market and looking for that job. So I'd seen this one thing, and I don't remember who it was that asked a sample of however many people in each generation, and they get down to Gen Z, and they said, how much money do you think you need to make annually to be comfortable? I think, and it was like 500,000 a year. It was the average answer for Gen Z.
Wow.
And that's disgusting. I think it's this. Everybody thinks they're entitled to more, or I see this. I saw it online today. Everybody's like, people say Gen Z is lazy, whatever. I disagree. And then Gen Z people are like, well, that's just because we know what we're worth. You're not worth more than what anybody's going to pay you. Because you don't just get whatever you want right away. That's just not how it works. And to think that you deserve for you to think you deserve anything is disgusting.
Yeah.
It is. Because you're not entitled to anything. Like, if you want your socialized everything, go live in Western Europe. But if you actually want to build something and to be a successful person and to do something great, America's the place for you. But if you want to be lazy and a bum and get everything handed to you, this isn't the place for you. It isn't. And it's really disgusting how entitled people our age and people in our generation are. It's disgusting. That's my hot take on it. I'm sorry. You can...
Your little rant?
Yeah, you can take it to the next topic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I just don't think that that's the mindset anymore.
No.
People just expect to get everything handed to them.
And stuff isn't the most affordable. I'll hand it to them there. But if you want to make more, you have to be worth more. You have to gain a skill. You have to make yourself marketable to an employer. You have to be worth it to your employer. Of course, they're going to make more money than you because they're employing you. They're taking the risk. They're doing whatever. But the more that you bring to the table, the higher earning potential you're going to have, And typically, if you're working for somebody, you're always going to hit a ceiling. Like, whatever. But there is a very high earning potential if you continue to learn and continue to grow and continue to gain new skills. So...
Yeah, I think it's a good point. But yeah, I mean, now that we kind of talked about that, we can probably move on to the next section, which kind of goes along with our generation and financial literacy. So I'll ask you the first question. Why do you think so many young people feel lost financially? Because a lot of people feel
because
that way.
They are.
Yeah.
Like we said, most go to school, most walk away with student loans. I think, what is the average student loan balance by... like right out of college? I think it's like 30,000, which I would expect worse, honestly. Not that that's great either, but it is because they're lost. They're sitting there, let's just say $35,000 in student loan debt. They have a car payment, and they're trying to find a job, and all they can find is something that's going to pay them $40,000 a year.
Yeah.
You are lost. And that's why people feel lost, because they get sucked into these things that are pushed societally. Everything's about image, and I finished school, I deserve this, I deserve that. It comes back to the entitlement. I deserve it because I did this, or I lived like a broke college student, so now I deserve a new car. Grow up. You're gonna be lost when you fall into stuff like that, and people really need to start to take that self-initiative to learn about financial literacy, because things aren't going to get cheaper. Things are going to get more expensive, I think. And if you're not taking that if you're not taking the initiative to learn financially and start to do better and start to get your finances in order, we're not going to have a very healthy society in 20, 30, 40 years. So
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And I think a lot of people feel entitled to things. I mean, a lot of people feel entitled to go to college. That's a lot of people want to go to college for free. It just doesn't work that way. I mean, I'm going to a four-year university. I'm paying for it out of pocket. I mean, a lot of people can't do that, but they could though. I mean, the only reason I'm able to pay for stuff is I've been working since I was 15, 16 years old. I joined the military to help pay for it. So there's things you can do to help pay for it.
or sometimes you can't go to that 4 year
Yeah, or you
university.
just can't if you're not willing.
Sometimes you have to start at that community college.
Yeah, which is perfectly fine too.
Or I mean, I'm not crazy about it, but you probably can take out student loans if you know you're going into a field where you will be able to make a good enough starting income to pay that off reasonably.
Yeah.
Not that I'm promoting that, but you can do it.
Yeah, I mean, student loans aren't inherently bad, but they are when people just don't want to pay them back, which we see a lot of nowadays.
Or you pay $100,000 for school into something where you're gonna make $35,000, $40,000 a year 10 years into your career. I mean, it's just a terrible financial decision. Next question, please.
Yeah, I actually kind of want to hear your opinion on this before I answer it. Do you think schools should be teaching budgeting and investing instead of random electives?
I'm not really sure what it means by random electives, and I know you don't either. But budgeting, yeah, I think 100%. It's really basic. You know, you spend less than you take in a month. And like, I understand things happen, whatever. But down to basic education on it, it is extremely important. And I don't know why schools don't teach it. Maybe a little conspiracy. Maybe the banks or the lenders, have this whole thing over the school system to keep people enslaved to their debt, because I mean, that's where we are as a country right now. And it's not going to change. It just gets worse and worse every day. But yes, I think they should be teaching budgeting and basic investing. I mean, investing comes down to, it's very subjective on your approach for it. And it's very different depending on where you're at in life and what your goals are. But yeah, basic, I think they should. Over random electives, I mean, I think it should be a choice if you want to do it or not. I mean, maybe it should be mandatory on a very basic level, but I do think it's extremely important.
Yeah, and I mean, when I was in high school, I don't know if you ever took the class or not, but we had the opportunity to take a personal finance class. Did you take it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that was good because it wasn't too complicated. They weren't going into like great depth about everything, but it explained everything so that like a stupid person could understand, which in high school sometimes you need that. But yeah, I mean, it explained all the basics and stuff, and I think that's important. And like you said, it's probably fine as an elective, but I mean, a lot of people might not choose it over things like, I don't know, bowling. Some big schools have crazy electives like that. I mean, I haven't seen it firsthand, but I know that it exists. But yeah, and it's like hard to get that like uniform throughout every school curriculum. Like, it would have to be a whole state thing, and it's not a bad idea, but it's not, and like, I don't think that you should be teaching budgeting or investing over something like math or social studies or science. Like, they're all important, but and maybe schools think that they should leave that up to the parents to teach their kids that.
It's clearly not working.
No, it's not. But I mean, you see it with millennials, and Gen X even. They don't know how to manage finances either, so they're not really in a position to teach their kids.
I'd say 95% of Americans don't know how to handle it. Well,
Yeah.
that's probably not fair, but a lot, at least half, don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, so here's a fun one. What's one financial mistake you have made? It says early on, but you're 20, but early on that you wish someone had warned you about or something you could have learned.
So I pride myself in being pretty good with money and have been for a long time. This is specific, like hyper specific. A lot of people probably wouldn't ever be in this situation. You were when you go to basic training and they have all these vendors that come and they're like, you're making the big money now in the army. You should buy this and this and this. I bought a couple of those things and I regret it. I think I bought like a $250 like family crest thing, which was complete BS because you got the same thing and ours were different. So like, they just scam you, and I fell for it. And
Yeah, I could say the same thing, I guess, because I did that as well, probably more so than you did. But I guess what's one financial mistake I made early on? I mean, it's so niche because the things that I feel like I've made mistakes on is stuff that people don't even do until their 30s. Like I wish I would have started maxing certain retirement accounts earlier. I was 18 when I first started, which I know sounds horrible. Like, because
a lot of people are not.
No, most people are not in that position to do so, and I'm very blessed. But I wish, it says or something, something we could have learned about earlier. I wish I would have learned about maybe, custodial accounts where then I could have started earlier, and you just have, that more potential. And we look back on years like 2022 or 2023. We were looking at 25+% gains. So, maybe those accounts started back then would have been nice. But, hindsight's 2020. But,
you're also ahead of the game.
Oh yeah.
For a lot of people.
Yeah. So I guess I can't really say I've made any crazy mistakes. I haven't lost any substantial amount of money or whatever. So,
you haven't bought like a crazy car or anything? I mean, I know you haven't, but
no, and I never, I didn't buy any Trump coin or anything like that.
Yeah.
I haven't messed around in the crypto.
The meme
but
coins.
I saw Bitcoin's down to 90,000 today.
Wow.
It was up over 120. So, anyway, that's off topic. Do you think the culture around spending has gotten worse or better for Gen Z?
I don't know. It's hard to know, especially with how social media works these days, because that's like the best like gauge on how other people are. But there's complete.
It's also the worst gauge.
That's what I'm saying. You get stuff for one side and not the other. So like, say you're a Dave Ramsey fan and you see all these Gen Z people like, I'm following the baby steps, I'm doing this and this and this. That's great. But there's probably just as many, if not more, people on the other side who are taking out, who are 18, 19, 20 years old, taking out personal loans for just random things, taking out a ton of student loans, buying a new car. Like, I really don't know.
I have an interesting take on this.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Gen Z is hard to even talk about because
not everybody's an adult.
Yeah, it's such a wide range too, right? Like, some were born in the very early 2000s and some were born, 2012, I think it's maybe the last year. But I think if anything, Gen Z's more thrifty, or they, it depends on what part of Gen Z you're talking about, right? Like, a lot were kids or young during the 2008 financial crisis, and not that anybody experienced that on their own financial level, but they saw parents struggle or they saw loss of stuff. And I think a lot of us now see how crazy expensive stuff is and just how maybe off the path we need to go to accomplish certain things and to get certain things. So, I mean, spending overall, I think habits with everybody in the U.S. are horrible around spending, but I think Gen Z, we're finding our own way.
Yeah.
With how to navigate such a inflated economy.
Yeah, it's one of those things where every individual just kind of has to figure out what works for them. I mean, there's like baselines that you can follow, but life happens and things cost money. So
We have a perfect question for you.
yeah,
Why do you think so many young people fear investing?
why is that perfect for me?
The question is
Why do you think so many people fear investing? I don't know.
Young people.
Why so many young people fear investing? I don't know, because I don't, if that's what you're referencing. But I don't know. I think people...
Why do you think so many young people maybe just hold it in a savings account instead of investing it? I know a lot of young people like that. Because I think a lot of people are scared of losing
Yeah,
it.
I can answer the question.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think, especially in like retirement accounts, maybe why people don't want to do that is because then they can't touch the money. Young people like to have access to a ton of money, and I think young people also like to impress other people, especially in college. They spend a ton of money on stupid stuff, and if they haven't invested somewhere and they don't have access to it, they can't buy those things. But yeah, the jab at me isn't completely true. I do not.
I didn't mean it as a jab. I just thought maybe you'd have a good personal perspective on it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think. I mean, I do think a lot of young people fear investing. I think a lot of people in general do.
So, I feel like, we might be so out of tune of the audience of this on where we're at personally.
Yeah.
So, I think this is a good question. How much of financial success today do you think is discipline versus opportunity? Because, I don't go into details with anybody about my own stuff, but
Yeah.
a lot of people, they would say, well, it was all handed to you or that.
Yeah, so do you mean discipline as in like how you personally handle your spending?
Yeah.
And then opportunity is like what you are kind of born into or given?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can speak for myself. I'm not going to go into great detail, and I'm not saying I'm financially successful, but I think I'm definitely doing better than
statistically
a lot better than other people my age. To me, I think a lot of it comes down to discipline. I keep my spending very low. I do my best to work as much as possible, and then like keeping my spending low, I save money. Because I wasn't like, we weren't poor growing up, but we weren't rich by any means. And it's not like our parents or grandparents or anything give us money all the time. I don't think we ever had an allowance. All we really got from our parents or family was like birthday and Christmas money. And maybe, if you're going to a game or something, here's a 20 or something, share it. But like, other than that, like, maybe we had on the opportunity side, from certain people in our family, we were taught how to handle money, which a lot of, to a specific degree, which a lot of people probably aren't. But personally, like today, living on my own and providing for myself, for me, it comes down to discipline. Like, yeah, I might not want to eat chicken and rice again. I might want to take myself out to Texas Roadhouse, but personally, I always feel worse after that. I'm like, did it taste good? Yes. Does it feel good now? No. Because I spent an extra...
I felt like that this morning. The bacon, egg, and cheese McGriddle. It tasted so good, but it felt so bad.
Yeah.
And,
then again, I'm not saying that it's wrong to treat yourself. I think maybe I talked about it when we had Jana on the show, and like our relationship, like we do our best to not spend a ton of money on each other because we're both in college, kind of providing for ourselves. So like we each take each other out once a month. So, and then in my own budget, I can take myself out once a month for food. So that keeps that spending low, because I know a lot of people my age, I've talked to a ton, I work with a ton, who spend so much money on Chick-fil-A, Burger King, Subway. Like, they just don't have lunch. I'm going to go to Chick-fil-A again. I've worked with people every day coming to work with a bag of Chick-fil-A. If he's listening, he knows who he is. But, like, it's crazy. Like, And I talked to him, and he's like, yeah, I spend so much money on Chick-fil-A, but I just don't want to cook. So that comes down to that discipline.
Yeah. No, and I see it a lot too, in my field of work. You can pack a lunch, but everybody goes out for food every day. There's just so many tips to kind of save a little bit more and just practice that discipline,
It adds up over time.
Yeah. Pre-game before the bars. Anyway, so we'll move on to the next topic, and I don't know how we want to do this, if most of the questions will be directed at me, or you can just start it.
Oh, is this for the trades?
Yeah.
So this whole section for the listeners is jobs that AI cannot replace.
As of right now.
Yeah, as of right now. Obviously, there are probably ways that they could, but so just off the top here, trades, medical fields, certain jobs in the medical field, physical work, real world problem solving. So you could say HR maybe, dealing with people problems, and then I'll just throw in education for now, teaching and stuff. So skilled trades are aging. So a lot of people aren't going into these fields.
Yeah, I think the average age of a skilled tradesman in the U.S. is over 50 years old. So, I think I had read too, for every five that retire, one guy comes in.
Wow.
So.
But yeah, so while these people are super old, not super old, but old to be doing these jobs maybe, and or leaving the workforce, and like you said, not a lot of people are coming in, the demand is still rising. So what, in your opinion, because we said that these probably won't be replaced by AI, at least anytime soon, what do you think makes skilled trades so hard for AI to replace, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to a lot of things, right? I just think of my everyday work. And it's something that it's always constantly changing. An algorithm, I couldn't figure it out. You'd spend more time inputting information into an algorithm to do the work than it would take to just do the work. Things are always changing. Things don't always go the way they're supposed to be. You look at a print and you're supposed to run your drain here, but you get in there and the HVAC guy put his duct right there. It's something where it's never how it's supposed to be. You go in and you're constantly having to problem solve or change and adapt your plan. And yeah, I mean, also just with the nature of the field that it is, I don't think the people that work in that field would ever let AI take it over.
Yeah.
Just because of the way the people are.
That's fair. So going along with it, why do you think so many young people, specifically young men, because you see a lot of young men, why do you think they're suddenly getting into the trades now instead of 10 years ago?
I have a more pessimistic view on this. I think a lot of people come in because they hear there's money in it.
Have you met a lot of people like that?
A lot. I've gone to school with a lot of those guys where, they just dink around all the time at class. They don't care to learn. And you say, why are you here? Because there's a lot of money in it. Well, and since people have started to realize college maybe isn't the route to go, people tell these young guys, well, there's a lot of money in plumbing, there's a lot of money in electrical. Yeah. So people come and they, they're like, well, I'd just go, how hard can it be? And then a lot of these people, they go to start it out and then they realize this is hard work. You actually kind of need to have a little bit of intelligence to do it.
They're not built for it.
You really have to apply yourself. So I think a lot of people come specifically because they hear there's a lot of money in it.
So for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, and a lot of guys don't make it to that journeyman level, to that licensing level. So that's my take on it.
They've got soft hands. Soft hands. So going along with that, like you say, they're told by these people that this is the smarter way to go. So do you think college is becoming the riskier path compared to a trade school, a tech school?
Yeah, 100%. I only went to plumbing school with 9 people.
Oh, really?
And 4, I think, currently work in that field. Everyone else just kind of kept doing whatever they were doing. That's not risky. I mean, it's very affordable schooling, and it's stuff you learn that you can take with you for the rest of your life. You can maybe do some basic stuff at your house instead of hiring a guy out at $150 an hour. And it's cheap for school relatively compared to university. These universities, people go. I think I'd seen the average person to graduate college now is taking 9 to 10 semesters. So for a bachelor's degree, that's 5 years. These people are spending however much money, and most people aren't even graduating, let alone graduating on time. You finish and you're 23 years old, and you walked away with nothing, and you spent all that money. That's definitely riskier, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think a lot of people also, in addition to what you said, go to college for the wrong reasons. They're like, I need this college experience. A lot of people live in the dorms for more than a year. A lot of schools require that you live in the dorms, and people continue to do it. We know people that do that. And that's super expensive, but they justify it by saying, well, it's a college experience. I don't believe in the college experience like that. In that sense. I feel like I'm getting the college experience. I've never lived on campus. I don't spend any more time on campus than I need to. And maybe I'm lower maintenance than a lot of people in that sense. I don't need as much, but I just don't see the appeal. I don't see the appeal of going to the frats or paying to be in a frat or a sorority. That's expensive. I saw some statistic about how expensive it is to be in a sorority these days. It's thousands of dollars, in addition to already paying tens of thousands of dollars for a degree that you're probably not going to use. I don't think college is a waste, but I think a lot of people do waste it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, 100%. Definitely riskier as a path than trade school or going to work in a trade.
Yeah. So you're a plumber. What changes have you personally seen in demand or attitudes towards the trades, plumbing, HVAC even?
Nothing AI related. I've seen a lot of guys now compared to when I started in the schools and whatever. Not a whole lot of people. Now there's a lot of people, close to full classes. But, where I work, we could probably take on 5 guys and be able to get them working right away. That's just how in demand it is. And, if more people applied, we could probably take them and get more jobs. But, with the few people we have, and I don't know how it all works on the administrative side, but I'm sure we're turning stuff down because we don't have enough people.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, with people aging out or there just not being a whole lot of people in it, you can really leverage yourself if you're a hardworking guy and you really want to learn and you continue to learn and you continue to grow your skills. You can really leverage yourself to make more because you're worth that to your employer, because if they lose you, they're losing out on a lot. But yeah, it's just the demand. We just need a lot more people.
Yeah.
So that's where I see the demand.
Yeah. And maybe one final question for this section. What do you think are the most AI-proof jobs over the next decade? You can give me a couple, maybe, if you want. Specific.
Skilled trades, definitely. Unskilled trades, probably not so much.
What's an example of that?
Concrete, for example. I've seen videos of things doing that. Mm-hmm. Of course, there's stuff where it doesn't work perfectly, because there are, you can't, algorithms aren't going to get it perfect. Other unskilled trades are like bricklaying and stuff.
But they could probably have, instead of a whole team out there, they could have 1 or 2 people overseeing it, and they could probably cut costs that way.
I could see it happening in the future, not right now. Other AI-proof jobs. People that are dealing with individuals every day, whatever that may be.
So like a police officer?
Yeah, stuff like that. Public servants, employees, that type of stuff.
You don't want an AI to be like the president of the United States?
No. No. So, yeah, those are kind of the AI-proof jobs I see for the next little while, so...
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense.
So we'll kind of pivot now to what we can do as a country, or what we should do as a country. So, I'll just get right into questions. So, do you think the government's moving too slow for how fast AI is changing work? I don't know of any legislation or anything.
I feel like they're trying to get ahead of it, though. President Trump specifically. I don't know. This is a part of his policy that I'm not very educated on, but I know that they definitely want to use it and promote it without taking away from the American people. I don't know how that looks. Again, like I said, I'm not super educated on it. So maybe at the like federal executive level, not super slow, but I'm sure like states, like state governments aren't super quick on using it. I know North Dakota is. I know somebody personally who has a company, an AI company, for managing like waste and making governments more efficient. And I know Governor Armstrong has worked with them, which is interesting. I don't know the details, but I think that that's interesting.
Can we ever get this individual on the show?
That might be something that I could look into. But yeah, because I'd kind of like to know a little bit more about it too. But you'll probably see companies like that coming up too, where you put all the information maybe from a state's like budget for the year, and it points things out on where you can, because that's probably more manageable than at a federal level, or even in like a district level or a city level, or like that kind of thing.
So with that, should we trust corporations to handle the AI responsibly without legislation? Like, what do you think with that?
I guess that's the more conservative outlook. Instead of demanding that they do things a specific way, there's probably a hybrid approach in there that would work better. I don't know. I think some are probably going to be better than others, because we've already seen some companies who will literally lay off thousands of people to save money, and that's probably not. From a budgetary standpoint, it's probably smart for them, but it really hurts communities around those businesses, and hurts the people too. So I don't know. I don't know if you can trust anybody who is in charge of places like that. You just gotta hope that they do what's best. I don't know how you would, be the authoritarian over that. And then that kind of goes against a lot of our fundamentals as a country.
Yeah, for sure. But you kind of get into that undiscovered territory,
yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, we definitely need to get ahead of the curve with it, because AI is something that's just going to grow exponentially and could be dangerous.
Could be. Have you ever seen The Terminator?
Next question.
What do you think is more important, policy change or personal adaptation? Whether that be like an individual or maybe even like companies.
Well, fundamentally, I believe in the individual. It's up to you as an individual. It's not up to the government to take care of you or to make sure, make sure you're learning the right stuff to be, like, obviously outside of public education. That's not what I'm talking about. But like in a changing work environment, it's not up to them to be like, okay, we're going to take all the working adults and retrain you on stuff that's going to be more usable. Like, that's not their job. So it's going to come down to personal adaptation. You're going to see it in the fields I'm in too, in that plumbing and HVAC field. they're gonna start to embrace more technological things. I mean, you see with a lot of like how I forget what it's called, home automation and stuff. That's gonna affect a lot of our jobs, and to be a better tradesman, you have to learn that stuff because that's the future. It's home automation and stuff like that. So it comes down to every work, every job, and every career field. You always have to, if you want to be the best at what you do, you're constantly adapting and constantly learning. So that's way more important than anything the government does, because I'm not going to let the people in DC decide if I'm going to be successful or not. I'm going to decide myself.
Yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. This one, are incentives for trades and vocational programs the key to rebuilding the middle class? And what would those look like?
Yeah, by incentives, do you mean like government incentives?
Sure.
Subsidies?
Sure.
I don't know if it's necessarily the key to rebuilding the middle class, because you already see a big shift towards the trades anyway. And I don't know what any government incentives would be.
Well, for example,
like
Minnesota does one.
Okay.
$2,500 scholarship for in-needs programs. That's not just trades. It's for some medical programs and some ag programs. So, I mean, maybe scholarships are all right if it's done at a state level, not federally.
Yeah. I mean, maybe like there could be tax credits for like businesses, like trades businesses. Otherwise, I don't really know what it would look like. I could see that being a thing, but I don't know if it needs to be.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. You don't want it to ruin those fields either. As you push more people or incentivize it more and throw more money at it, it's going to continue to get more expensive. You saw that with the four-year university and the programs that go along with it. It's just gotten more and more expensive as more people got more money to go to it. They can charge whatever they want.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my opinion on that.
Yeah. And we're about at an hour, so we can probably move towards closing out this episode. Yeah, I mean, I think as far as AI goes, it's important to remember that it's not like evil. It's not the enemy of us as people. I mean, it's not like the solution either. I think you need to find like a hybrid option. We just need to be prepared. And I think any young person can do well or thrive if they make the right choices.
I think it's important. You've seen it with a lot of different things. Stuff will be created that puts other industries out of business. The automobile got rid of a whole field of business. The horse business
And carriages.
Yeah, the people that built carriages, the people that made horseshoes and put the horseshoes on the horses, the people that picked up the horse poop. I almost said a bad word. But yeah, that put a whole industry out of business. And at the time, people were probably freaking out. Oh my gosh, they're not protecting our jobs. Things change and we evolve as a society and we enter new domains, and it's important to embrace it and adapt, I think.
Yeah. Do you have any questions before we kind of close it out?
Yeah, I mean, is there any advice that you feel you could give to someone that's maybe unsure of what they want to do, starting a career, graduating high school?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the answers, and I think it also depends on what you're interested in, because I'm not going to be like, you should go be a plumber or an HVAC technician or something like that, because like you said, there are people who are not interested in that, who have gone into that, and it just doesn't work out. So I wouldn't like push anybody to do anything. I mean, you need to do what you love, or try to figure out if you don't know to do what you love. But yeah, I mean, you should definitely think about where that career is going though, and what it's going to look like in 5, 10, 20 20 years, like your whole working life, because you don't want to be put out of work, put out of business. Yeah, but I mean, I don't think that means that you shouldn't do what you want to do either, because I mean, no job is gonna probably like completely disappear. I mean, there might be a couple, but you just need to be smart about it. Like, there's not a solution necessarily, or I don't have the perfect answer, but you just got to be smart about it, but don't not do what you want to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you have any questions in for me as we wrap it up?
I don't think so. I mean, what do you really like? What do you see for the future? Do you think it's going to be more competitive and more opportunity filled? Like, what do you think?
I'm sure it'll be a very competitive job market for certain things, especially these jobs where they're going to have to look over the AI and stuff like that. I mean, it's going to be very lucrative positions and very competitive positions. There's great opportunity for a lot of things, though, a lot of new things. I mean, you talked about the person that who has that AI sort of company. I mean, there's amazing opportunity for a lot of things, and opportunity in things that jobs that we'll see in 5 years that we don't even know, we couldn't even imagine right now will exist. So there's going to continue to be opportunity, but of course it's going to be competitive, as some people won't want to adapt and learn new skills. So last question I have, what mindset do you think that young workers need moving forward, rather than that woe is me or I'm a victim mindset?
I think people need to be willing to work, just in general, and it's not always gonna be sunshine and rainbows. Like,
but they're not paying me what I'm worth.
Yeah, I think people need to keep in mind that you need to start somewhere. You're not gonna start working at a place for even probably $20 an hour.
No, that's not true.
Well, it depends, but you know what I mean. Like the standard person, people want to be making a lot of money, and you can get by as a young person living alone, on less than that. And it all comes down to lifestyle too. So I think the mindset needs to be, like, you need to be more disciplined with money. You need to learn things that matter, learn a skill, or enter a field where it's not going to be taken over, at least not anytime soon, by AI. So I would just say work hard,
adapt.
Yeah,
always
be
adapt.
adaptable, and that goes with any job.
If you're gonna be something, do the best you can to be the best at it, and learn. I mean, that's what I see so much with what I'm in, right? I mean, I'm a second year, just about a third year plumber, apprentice plumber for the state of North Dakota, and it's like, I mean, you're learning. You can learn something new every day, or you can just be, this is what I do all the time, so I'm just gonna keep doing it. Ask those questions, learn, try to be the best. Have a little pride in your work, always learn, always adapt, because the world is going to be changing a lot as AI really starts to take over, and not take over in like an apocalyptic sense, but really start to kind of seep into every crack and crevice of our workforce. And in 20-30 years there's going to be something bigger than AI that we don't even know exists yet. Yeah. And we'll have to adapt again. So that's what I think.
I think that's a really good point. Do you have any more questions? Because I don't think I
don't think so.
So, okay. Well, I thought that was a good conversation, and an important one to be having at this time.
Yeah, it's going to be something that just continues to go crazy, and people are going to be crazy about it. And, we'll see what happens here with these big tech companies as they switch over to AI, and see how that works for them, and see how it affects their market caps and their stock price. It's something I'm keeping a close watch on. So
yeah. So okay.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. Keep an eye out. We'll continue to do shorts, and
the social medias will all be up. for you to see. So
Yep. So just keep an eye out for any more shorts, and always feel free to message on any of the social media platforms about topics you'd like to see or shorts you'd like to see. The shorts are a nice medium for us to talk about more current event stuff. Sometimes we record these episodes a few days before they air, so we can't always talk about the most pressing things. So,
but yeah, so I think this is a good place to end for the day.
yeah.
So, all right, well, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye.